Demetrius,
May I have a
please
seat?
sit down.
All right, thank you. Sorry if I set myself on the table.
Oh, sure.
Excellent. Well, let me tell you, I am just so impressed at how in just 15 short years we were able to expand your company in 5 different cities. Now, could you tell me, how are you able to do that?
Just through a lot of hard work and things like that. But what do you have for me today?
Well, basically our product is a software program that's going to help you operate and manage your system and your employees. I'd like to ask you a couple questions right now. Well, first of all, are you the primary decision maker in your company, or is there anybody else that should sit in with us today?
I am currently.
Okay. Great.
My son is as well, but that's me.
Great, great. So, how many employees do you currently have working for you right now?
It's a private organization. We like to keep that on the down low.
Okay, no problem. I may ask you, how are you able to manage your managers at the different locations?
Pretty well. A lot of phone contacts, a lot of calling. We might be looking at a way to, find a way to be more proficient at our contacting and things like that.
Okay, so you're primarily doing it the old-fashioned way, the phone calls. Do you do emails and stuff like that?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you able to keep track of, their sales revenue from a month-to-month basis and their performance levels?
Okay. We do an okay job. We could maybe do more, but we want to get things rolling and
okay.
see how it goes.
As far as your employees, how are you able to track their performance and see how they're representing the company? Are they doing it the way you want to do it? How are you able to do that?
Well, we hope that they are. It's difficult to track, but we try and train them to do their best that they can, and we're doing okay that way.
Okay. As far as your customer base, how are you able to see what customers are bringing in the biggest revenue for your company, and through future performances, repeat buys, and maybe a fixed schedule of whether they're a smaller bakery that's looking for you to provide cookies for them, or a wedding that you're trying to plan. Are you able to keep track of your customer base?
We do it a pretty decent job. It's up to each individual facility as to how they manage that. We try and give them direction, and then hope that they can do their best to keep it going.
Okay. And to my understanding, you're saying that each site kind of has their own way of operating and how they're keeping track of their customers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like a system where you're able to track every single location and in one database where all the customers are linked up into one system, and you could see all the data, what kind of business they're doing at each site? Would that be helpful?
I'm looking to maximize for my son to turn the business over. I may be looking to retire, things like that.
Right.
So I don't know how much we're looking to do in that range.
Okay. Do you think that it would help, say, if a customer did business with you in Charlotte and they were operating in Houston, and they said, Awesome Desserts, we've heard from you before, we've done a lot of great business, we'd like to carry that over. Would they be able to see what type of business they did in the past with you at the current new site?
We can give them information regarding to that, but we not too much. If you can do something for me, you're going to need to show me exactly what it is. What kind of system is it to where it'll go for my salespeople? What's it going to do? I want to keep everything very on the down low with them. I want to know what's going on, but I don't want anybody else to know what's going on. So how can you integrate something like that for me?
All right. So it sounds like you want to have all the knowledge of what's going on in your company, but you don't want, say, a salesperson to know, how much money you're generating this month. Is that correct?
Yes.
But would it be helpful for your managers to know that as well, as far as the different sites?
If I choose for them to do that.
Okay. Well, basically, NetSuite has 3 big components, as you can see here. The CRM, which is basically management of your sales team and your customers. You have the e-commerce. This kind of helps you to function a website, and if they want to place orders through that site, that makes it possible. And also through your accounting. This keeps track of your payrolls and all your employee listings and how much it's costing your company to pay them. Also helps with keeping track of inventory. How many pounds of flours do you have at this site? Whether you need to order more chocolate chip or some more sugar or whatever. That keeps track of your inventory in that data bank. Which one of these 3 systems do you think will best help you?
More on the Salesforce end.
Okay. as you mentioned before, you kind of don't know, we don't want to disclose how many employees you have, but in general, do you have knowledge of how many employees you're currently working for you?
Well, of course, it's my company.
Good. Well, sounds like that something that will benefit you is if you can keep track of all the operations of all the sites in your headquarters and of your personal knowledge. Is that correct?
Yes, but how am I going to get this data and train to my customer, to my employees?
Basically, it's simple loading of, if they can type something up in Microsoft Word, they can operate NetSuite. So all you have to do is just enter in your data and it'll just store it for you. Essentially, NetSuite has a large hard drive and everything is saved on your personal computer and the master computer in cyberspace. So you'll have all that knowledge sit backed up to you in case your computer crashes or whatever happens.
Well, I have some great people that work for me, but I also have some real people that don't have an understanding of sales as well.
Right.
Okay. How are you going to train somebody to use that when they're used to using cooking tools every day and not worried about so much as the sales aspect of things?
Well, if they can, I don't know how they normally do it, but if they, for example, keep track of their customers on pen and paper and they file it somewhere, that's fine too, because they're understanding that organizational aspect. We just ask, if you can just transfer that from the hard paper over to the computer, it's easy as that. If they can, for example, a lot of people operate Excel, which is not really designed for operations management. It's more of just keeping track of information. Well, if you can load all that up, that'll be saved for you, and you can go in and access that anytime you want to see what your manager is doing, if they're keeping track of their sales and their customers and their performance level, which is essentially the most important thing, is seeing your performance from a month-to-month basis to see, because your aspiration is probably to grow the company more. Is that correct?
They are, but we need to expand our marketing efforts in order to do so. How is that going to work for us?
Well, if you want to expand your marketing capabilities, NetSuite has a great e-marketing as far as getting your website out there and people can place orders, just getting the name out there. It's the most important thing.
But how are you going to help my employees get the word out there? Because they're the ones that are going to get the word out. We have a direct sales force, so
right.
We have to get the word out with them. So how do you get it into them and train them to use the system most effectively and get the word out to them?
Well, when they sign up with NetSuite, we have a training program on how to use the software effectively. Basically, it's very simple. If they want to market it through the web, they can access the website and help design it and shape that to whatever they think is going to attract the customer's attention. So they have a lot of say in how they want to set up the web page and what it looks like for them. And they can also print flyers out of this. They can create billboards, advertisement from the software itself. So is that something that you're looking forward to doing?
Potentially, but there's always a cost to things like this, and that's something that we possibly don't want to get into right now.
Okay. So would this be something that, as far as your company is growing in the future, you may be more interested in as far as when it is fully expanded, or do you think it's kind of small now and would be useful to you?
Well, anything like this that's more advanced than what we're currently using could be useful to us. I mean, that's always the case. But is this something that's going to help us right now and help me transfer the company and things like that?
Well, as far as organization, it saves on time, and time is money. Currently, do you know roughly how many hours a week you spend on just trying to keep track of your employees and doing budgeting and sales and?
No.
Well, by utilizing this program, you can essentially save hours a week, just because you don't have to go in and search through the networks and call up your site manager. Hey, this customer, how they doing? Are your sales doing well at performance levels?